We met at summer school in 1963.
The summer between our junior and senior year of high school.
Yeah, we were both taking summer classes for our senior year so that we would have time to go to work in the afternoon. And so, yeah, that's where we met.
Our point was to try and decrease our school load to about 4 hours a day instead of the 6 or 7. And then that gave us time to go to our jobs and for me to go to the sports that I participated in. So we had a class together, but we were talking about that the other day. We can't, either one of us remember what class it was.
Too long ago. Of course, I knew of him. I mean, he was in sports, so I knew who he was, you know. But we had never really crossed paths before until summer school. And I don't even remember, I guess we just started talking to each other, you know, so.
Yeah, we didn't actually go on a date until probably December of our senior year. Other than that, we just visited when we encountered each other. And during our senior year, I always carried a sack lunch, and Joan did too, to school, and so we would sit in the auditorium and eat our lunch and study and visit, and we had to get special permission to do that because the auditorium was normally locked. But that was, and as time grew, you know, we just became friends. Better and better friends all along. So I was lucky; I got to marry my best friend. We graduated from high school in 1964 and we got married in 1967. And we first met in 1963, so I guess we had a long engagement period, I guess you could call it.
Even though we weren't engaged.
No, we didn't get engaged until, was that 66? I think it was, wasn't it, before I went in the Marine Corps?
I think so, yeah. It was, yeah. So I went from high school. When I graduated, I went to nurses training in first Aberdeen at Presentation College for the first 9 months of school. It was basically your academic studies, and then we spent like an afternoon twice a week at the hospital learning how to make beds and give bed baths and those simple things. And so then my second and third year were at McKinnon Hospital in Sioux Falls. And so we kept corresponding during that time when I was in school, and I know one Thanksgiving or Christmas or something when I was in Aberdeen, he and his brother came to get me for the holidays, you know, to take me home because my mom and dad couldn't come and pick me up. So, and we didn't have cars back then. I didn't. None of us hardly ever did at that time. What do I love most? There's so many different things because I love the father he has become and the grandfather he has become. I love the way he has always been there for our children. He, when we had our first daughter, Sarah, and I was working like 3 to 11 at the hospital, and he would come home from the School of Mines and he would take care of her in the afternoon and evening until I got home from work at 11. And I'd find them both sleeping in the rocking chair. He might have a book in his lap, but she was always on his chest sleeping. So he, as a father, he has been absolutely beautiful. He's just great. I love him for being the man he is, for what he stands for, I love the fact that he is so involved in the church, because that is a good example for our kids and our grandkids and for other people too. And you know, he went through that time when he came back from overseas. He had a problem with the alcohol, but he eventually was able to overcome it. And I thank God for that, because God has been working in our lives ever since we met. So he's, like I said, he's a good father, he's a good husband, and he takes care of his parents and my mom. He will do anything anybody asks him to do. At our age, he's trying to do too much, because he always is helping somebody, you know. So, of course, we had our little ups and downs, and, you know, things go on in life, but we've overcome them, and we overcome them together. I don't remember it.
Yeah, I had a resounding effect upon her. Truthfully, our first date, we went to a high school wrestling match. I played basketball, so if I was going to go do something like that, it had to be that at that time of year, so I could sit with her. And she knew absolutely nothing about wrestling. And so it was a lot of questions, and I don't think we saw much wrestling match, because she was, why are they doing that? What's that called? So,
and I don't remember anything about it.
I think probably just that she's consistent in everything that she does, and in the way that she loves, and the way that she treats people. You know, there's you know how sometimes there's someone you like better than others, and you might treat them a little more generously. Joan just treats everybody the same. You know, her compassion for everyone is consistent and deep. She's a very loving and giving person. Honestly, I think that I just think that I felt like God said, "This is my gift to you, and I want you to care for her, to help her to find the peace that Christ promises us." And it was easy to do, you know. I don't know if you looked at any of those pictures back there, you know, but she's, to me anyway, she was a very beautiful young woman, you know, and as pretty as she was physically, her beauty for me was more what was in her heart. You know, she, her stepdad was an alcoholic, and yet she still had compassion for him, though he was not always very nice, you know. But there was just a lot of love there, and like I said, her beauty is more than just physical. It's everything that makes up her thought process and the way that she encounters people. Yeah. I had no choice but to love her.
We used to go to drive-in shows at the Pines Drive-In.
I don't know if it was the most memorable date, but...
No. But we went there several times, and half the time we fell asleep.
Yeah. And there was one night in particular when we were at the Pines Drive-In Theater, which was north and west of Rapid City, there out on Sturgis Road, and
They were. Not anymore.
and when the movie was all over and everything, we were both asleep and heard this knocking on the window of the car door. And so I looked up and rolled the window down, and it was all the lights were off. There wasn't another car in that whole parking lot. And the guy says, "Why don't you two kids go home and go to bed?" I think it was How the West Was Won.
Was it?
I think so, yeah. I've always liked Western movies.
Yeah,
so.
we went to a lot of Western movies.
But other than that, I don't know if there's that's the only thing that made it memorable is the fact that someone had to come and wake us up and tell us to get out so they could lock the gates.
Yeah, we went to a lot of shows. We went ice skating down at Roosevelt Park when it was just a pond.
And what's that one that's over there on just off 8th Street?
You know, when you're young, you're looking for different things in a person, I think, than what I would look for now. Excuse me. So, I don't know. I just wanted to get to know him when we met in summer school, and it just progressed from there. And then it's grown and went from just to being friends to being in love, and then the love grows and it deepens, but it also changes. Love when you're a teenager or just a young person is a little bit different than when you love when you're 76. So, but it's still the same, but it's got a different component to it. So, yeah, I just felt it, I guess. You know, I never really dated anybody else, but there was a lot of, guys that I would, see or be around, in the course of my teenage years and when I was in college. But no, none of them sparked any interest at all, so. Well,
local calls were just however much you paid for your monthly bill, but the long distance calls were, and right now, with this landline here, we can call anywhere that's in the Golden West service area. So that's Pine Ridge, Rosebud, Kadoka, Phillip, any of those. But back then, from Sturgis to Rapid City was a long distance call. And those were expensive. The history of the Cliffords. In the 1800s, two brothers, Mortimer and Hank Clifford, came to the reservation here, and they each took native wives, and each of them had, like I said, I think 14 kids. And of those children, my grandfather was one of those, and he was also Mortimer Clifford, but he was. The great-grandfather was Mortimer Harrison, and my grandfather was Mortimer Shelley. And Mortimer Shelley probably had the least number of children of those 28 offspring from the two original Cliffords. And he had 6 kids. And the rest of them, those all had big families. And that's enough generations down that, like I said, now there's probably close to 1,000 of us scattered across the reservation. And I was born at the old Indian Hospital in Pine Ridge on July 23rd, 1946. And the ranch over by Kyle was, the family was running cattle on probably 10 or 12 sections of land then, but it really wasn't big enough to support all of the families. And my dad, while he was in school, at boarding school, they had the first half of the day was academics, and then the second half of the day was job-related things. And so he worked as a mechanic and on automobiles and body and fender work. And that's, so after he got out of high school and after he married Mom, then they decided to. He worked for the Bureau of Indian Affairs for several years there, and just they needed to find a job that could pay him a little bit more money, and so they moved to Rapid City, and he went to work in automotive shops there in Rapid City, and then he got a job working out at Ellsworth on the airplanes, B-28s I think they were, and then World War II was going on, and so he went in the Army, and he was stationed at Los Alamos, New Mexico, where they were developing the atomic bomb. And because he got stationed there, during the war, once you were there, they didn't let you leave. So he didn't have to go overseas, but he couldn't leave there either. So he was there until the war was over, and then he was discharged, and he came back up to South Dakota. And then about a year after that, I was born in Pine Ridge, and so and I was the youngest of the family. My sister is the oldest, and my brother is in between. My sister is a dominant personality. She doesn't like things that don't go the way she thinks they should, but she's a very loving person. My brother, he was kind of a numbers person. He was a contracting officer for the Indian Health Service here in the Aberdeen area for a lot of years, but he also was a real a compassion and loving person too. And I think a lot of that comes from the way that our parents raised us. But he hated Dennis. I think he was more, not so much that he hated him, he was afraid of him. I teased him a lot about that, and that was kind of what I did. I was a jokester in the family, the teaser and the storyteller, and the other two were they spent their time chastising me, I think. But they were good people, both of them. My brother is gone to be with the Lord now, and my sister still lives out in California.
I don't even remember. I mean, it didn't seem like...
When I was overseas, while I was in the Marine Corps, I think Joan wrote to me every day.
Yeah, probably did. But that was after we were married.
We were married then, yeah.
But no, back when I was in nurses training and you were in college and then out of college and then in the Marine Corps at the beginning, there wasn't, no set number of letters, just when you had time, which he did not have much time of when he was in the Marine Corps. I would say basically normal talk, would you? It's, it's hard to remember because of the fact that, it's been a long time ago. So
I know that when we were, neither one of us were ever really very much at poetic verse, I do remember when I think I was in Tennessee, stationed there for a little while, and she had taken her graduation pictures for graduation from nursing school, and she'd put a copy of that picture in a letter to me. And when we were in high school, and when the last time I saw her, she wore glasses, and she had short hair. Okay, And then it was a long time after I went in the Corps before we were together again. And so I got this picture, or this letter, and I opened up the letter and this picture fell out. So I picked it up and looked at it, and I thought, and there were two guys that I had, we were pretty good friends in the Marine Corps there, and I looked at this picture and I said, wonder who the heck she's sending me pictures of now? And I tossed it down on the bed and started reading the letter, and Ken Martin was sitting there, and he picked the picture up and looked at it, and he says, well, I don't know who it is either, he says, but when you get done there, I want you to introduce me. And I read a little bit farther down, and I said, hey, wait a minute, you're not getting to meet her, I'm going to marry her. And it was a picture of her, but by then she had shoulder-length hair, and she didn't wear glasses, she was wearing contacts. And so I just really didn't and it was a black and white picture.
As a child, being able to go see Bambi in the mountains when we lived in California. When we lived in Texas, we went down to White Sands, and that was fun. Being able to just move, even though we moved around a lot, it was fun to be able to see different parts of the country. And I know that we definitely settled in the best part of the country. My first job was a babysitter. I would have been in probably 6th grade. And it was, we lived at a Nike site, and there were like probably 17 houses in the Nike site. And it was a young couple. He was a lieutenant in the Army, and his wife was a stay-at-home mom, but I would babysit for them when they would go out, And that was my first job, 25 cents an hour. I always knew I wanted to be a nurse, like my mom. And so that's exactly what I did. I was shy. I always obeyed my mother. And I loved animals. Well, I think I'm pretty good at sewing. I like to sew. That came from my grandmother too, Grandma Nace, because she was a seamstress, and I would sit and watch her sew. And she had a favorite TV show, and so at like 2 or 3 o'clock every afternoon, we had to sit and watch Edge of Night, and then she'd go back to her sewing. So, sewing. I enjoy sewing, and I have made a lot of quilts.
There was just a lot of them that were put together. Fishing with Grandpa Allman. My dad, I played baseball in the summer, and when I got to be in Colt League, which for me was when I was 14 and 15, he was the coach on the team that I played on, and we went to a tournament in Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan, and I think there were 8 teams there, and we won that tournament. So then we left there that summer and went to Laramie, Wyoming, and I think there were 4 teams there, and we won that tournament. And so then we went to Springfield, Illinois, and we played baseball there.
I like being outside. I like doing yard work. I like being out when we go up in the hills. So I like the outdoors, but as I grow older, it's getting harder to be able to enjoy the outdoors.
My favorite thing to do is to just be with Joan. But even beyond that is serving God. in the Rapid City Diocese for priests and deacons, it's mandatory that we retire at age 75. So a year ago I put in my retirement and I retired as a permanent deacon. But within the first 2 months of that retirement, I did, I think, 2 funerals, a wedding, and 3 or 4 baptisms. So, and if someone asks me to do their wedding or to baptize their children, I do that. In fact, on the 28th of this month, I'll be baptizing another new baby. I'll be doing a wedding in another couple of months. I did their marriage prep, just finished that up about 2 weeks ago. So I do enjoy serving God. I do enjoy bringing His children to a deeper understanding of His love. And Joan and I did that together for years, but she's in the early stages of memory loss, and so she doesn't feel comfortable doing that with me anymore, because sometimes she asks the same question, more than once in a span of 5 minutes. So I do that now without her there, but I still enjoy it. Funerals sometimes are very, very sad, but they're also very rewarding because quite often I get to help people to say goodbye and to understand that life doesn't end when this body ceases to function, and it goes on, and that it's really just the next transition, and we move from this physical thing here to the spiritual thing that God wants for us.
It was in the parking lot.
Before we went to a movie at the Rex Theater.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'd never be a good salesman. My approach to sales is, you wouldn't want to buy any of these, would you? And you wouldn't want to marry me, would you?
Did you get down on one knee?
We were sitting in the car.
We do things very simply.
Yeah.
Well, I sort of knew that it was coming, I mean, we had been talking for a while about getting married, so, but.
And it was right before, I'd enlisted in the Marine Corps, but I hadn't gone off to basic training yet. And Joan was still in nursing school, and she had decided that she wanted to finish nursing school before she got married.
Well, it was more like I always assumed I had to finish any college education before I would get married. My mother, Dad, they never told me I had to, but I just assumed that was the way it was to be,
And knowing that I was going into the Marine Corps and the conflict in Vietnam was going on, I kind of thought that maybe the best thing would be for us to not get married until after I had made a tour into combat and came back, simply because I didn't want to leave a 21-year-old widow, so, and that was always a possibility at that time. So our plan was to hold off until I made that tour, but that didn't work out. There were, while I was stationed in South Carolina, I was detailed up to a station up in North Carolina, and met 2 guys there that were married, and they had been overseas and come back, and they were married before they went over there, and they asked why, we talked some, and and I told them about Joan, and they said, well, you should get married soon. And I said, why? They said, well, better to have spent some time with your loved one rather than to just know her through the mail, which is basically what we were doing at that time. It was all by letters, because I was gone all the time, and so what if something happens and I don't come back? He said, she will have had the chance to love you, which if you wait, then she may not ever get that chance. So I called her and asked her if what she thought about that, and she said, okay. First of all, she said whoever she was with at the time said, he wants to get married. So I heard her say that on
the phone, yes. Yeah, all long-distance phone calls. We never made long-distance phone calls back then. So I called my mother and told her, and after graduation, I went back to Rapid City and made my wedding dress and my bridesmaids' dresses, and we got the wedding.
You made your own dresses?
Yes, yes, yeah,
Wow.
and studied for state boards. So, yeah.
And passed her state boards too.
And passed my
First
state.
time out.
Passed my state boards, yeah. So, yeah, it was a fast summer. We got married in September 9th, 1967.
1967.
Yep. And left about, was it a week or 2 weeks later?
3 days.
Was it 3 days?
Yes.
It was a small wedding. Family was there. We got married at St. Isaac Jogues Church in Rapid City, South Dakota. And Father Francis Collins is the one that married us. And as a footnote to that, of course, St. Isaac Jogues was washed away in the 72 flood, and Father Collins was killed at that time. He lost his life in the flood. So anyway, it's very special that we were able to be married. He was a very gentle man.
Joan and I have done marriage prep in this parish since 1992, I think. And so we know what marriage prep is today.
Yeah.
But back when Joan and I got married 55 years ago, our marriage prep
With Father Collins.
with Father Collins lasted for about an hour, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And I don't think he ever talked to us anything about marriage. He was the priest where I went to Mass for a lot of years, and so coming back from taking leave and coming home from the Marine Corps to get married, mainly he was interested in where have you been, Butch, and what have you been doing, and and that sort of thing. And I honestly don't remember him ever telling us anything about what we might expect by way of
We just
of
visited,
marriage.
Yeah. Well, I had 2 bridesmaids, my sister and my best friend from high school, and you had 2 groomsmen. My grandparents from Coleman, South Dakota were there. My aunt and uncle and their family were there. There was quite a few. Your sister was there with her little girl.
Yeah, Terry. Mm-hmm. And my brother was there.
Yeah.
And Jim Savely.
Jim Savely was your best man, and on footnote on that one, his mother also died. Jim Savely's mom died in the Rapid City flood. So that Rapid City flood took a lot of people, and we lived through it.
Well, we went to right after the wedding. We went up to Powder House Lodge in Keystone, remember?
Oh,
And we
right.
spent the night there. And then we met Calvette and Jack, my sister and her husband at the time, at Sheridan Lake.
Go swimming.
And we were going to go swimming and have a picnic. Yep. And after Joan said, "Yeah, we can go ahead and get married," backtracking a little bit, I said, okay, I'll get the rings down here at the PX, because at that time they didn't have excise tax and that sort of thing on jewelry if you bought it at a military post. And so I went there and I bought her just a plain silver band and a plain silver band for myself, because they kind of matched up with the engagement ring that I'd given her. And I spent a lot of money on them, because I think hers was $4 and mine was $6.
At that time, that was a lot of money.
But anyway, back to what happened right after the wedding. We went swimming, and I came up out of the water, and it was cold. You know, September in the hills, the water's chilly, and so I was kind of shaking the water off my hands like this, and my wedding ring came off. And so I was down on my hands and knees digging through the grass like that, and Joan came and says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Looking for my wedding ring." So pretty soon all four of us were down in the grass digging through there, and we finally did find it. So, but then after that, I think we left like 3 or 4 days after the wedding, and
We had a little Falcon car.
Yep, we bought that was the first car that either one of us owned. We bought it together for $2,000, 1967 Ford Falcon. And when we left, the trunk was loaded up with stuff, the back seat was loaded up with stuff, the passenger seat in the front was loaded up. There was only 2 seats, one in the middle and one at the steering wheel that were open, and that's where we rode as we headed down south. And a lot of folks say, well, our honeymoon we did this or we did that, but truthfully we honeymooned until I got orders to go overseas.
Yeah, for 9 months we lived at on Ladies Island.
near Beaufort, South Carolina.
Yeah, it was near Beaufort, South Carolina, and it was a little house. It's in the country, sort of. Our landlord was not very far from us.
No, he probably lived 300 yards from us. You know.
Anyway, but we didn't have neighbors other than that, you know, and so we had no relatives, so it was just the two of us, and it was a 9-month honeymoon. Yeah. I mean, we spent a lot of time on the beach, at the ocean. And at that time, the beach was very deserted. It was north of Hilton Head Island, a little ways. But anyway, we go digging for shells and clams and just walking up and down the beach, and we'd
surf casting sometimes.
Surf casting and
body surfing in the ocean waves.
Yeah.
We had a time when, because it was that beach was usually so deserted, that we could spend a lot of time together. And I was deployed quite often in those 9 months that we were there, but
just for like a week at a time.
Yeah, a week or 2 weeks. I think the longest one was probably 3 weeks at any given time, but through that period, I think I was deployed maybe like 6 times in that 9-month period. So we did have time apart, and I think it was probably good, because it kind of set the scene for when I got orders for the Westpac tour, and I was gone then for like 14 months. So, but it was. So like she said, it was quite a honeymoon for us.
Yeah.
We got to go to like Savannah, Georgia, and there was that was back before interstates and that sort of thing. And so these country lanes, they kind of were, and the trees were grown clear across the whole thing, so it was like driving in a tunnel, you know, with that moss that hangs down from the trees.
It was beautiful.
It was quiet, and there wasn't a lot of traffic on the roads, and you could go to Savannah, and we'd go to a nice restaurant there, and they weren't crowded and they weren't noisy, and
Well, did a little tourism type thing probably, but and then I was working at the time too. I worked in a small community hospital, and this was a little, I don't know how far it was from Ladies Island, but we always had to cross the drawbridge to come over on the mainland and go over to where I worked. And but when he was deployed, and I usually worked the evening shift, so it was dark when I'd get home, and out there in this house out in the country, I carried gun with me all the time. So, and I would take my gun and I'd go into the house, and we had a dog at that time. We got a dog, had gotten a dog, and she'd greet me, and I'd say, well, let's go look around and see if there's anything in here, and So thank goodness there wasn't. I never had to shoot anybody. But yeah, that was probably the scariest part was the nights when I'd have to come home by myself in that dark place, and no neighbors. So, but it's still, it was the neatest place we could have been then.
When we first got down there, our rent was $75 a month, and I got paid on the 1st and the 15th, and my paychecks were like $72, I think. So it wasn't even enough in a single paycheck to pay our rent. So I talked to Mr. Freeman, and he let me pay half of it on the 1st and half on the 15th. And then we had enough money then from that paycheck to go to the commissary and get tomato soup, hot dogs,
eggs,
and that's what we lived on for
quite a while.
Yeah, till she got a job at the hospital and got her first paycheck. Then we splurged and got milk too.
Yeah, and then eventually we splurged, and I got a sewing machine.
Yeah, we lived there for that 9 months, I guess, and we never even had a TV set.
So yeah, I did a lot of reading of the telephone book because I didn't have any books with me.
Yeah, the first home we ever bought together was a trailer house. When I was getting ready to get out of the Marine Corps, Joan was
7 months pregnant and had to fly home.
Yeah.
Otherwise I couldn't fly.
And so she was home for 2 months before I got discharged. And then I drove up, and I got home. I got out of the Marine Corps on the 15th of June in 1970. And Sarah was born on the 27th of June in 1970. But when I mustered out of the Marine Corps, they audited my pay records and paid the back combat pay and stuff that they hadn't paid to me when I was still in, and so I mustered out with, like, I think it was $7,800, and they paid it to me in $20 bills. So I stuffed my combat boots full of $20 bills and whatever else I could find, and threw them in the trunk of the car and headed for home. Mm-hmm. So when we bought this trailer house, we had enough money. We paid cash for it.
It was $10,000, so we had saved some up. My favorite song. I can't remember the name of it.
Can you sing it? Or
No. Now Cal could if he was here.
Well, so it's funny. He said that he knew what your favorite song was, but he wasn't going to tell me.
Yeah. It's a religious song, one of them, and of course the other one is Elvira. And
Oak Ridge Boys?
Yes. Okay. The only reason I had to say that one is because one summer we took my mom and the girls to down to Disney in Florida, and that song was very popular at that time, and we sang it all the way down there because we drove, and all the way home. So
I know what Jones is, but I'm not going to tell you. I think maybe I have more than one.
If you had to choose one.
Eagle's Wings. And I will raise you up on eagle's wings. That one.
I would have to say right here, right now. This is, I don't know, we don't live in the city itself of Martin, but I mean right here, right now in our lives. We've been here since 1981, and so it's, as an Army brat, I moved around a lot. And then, of course, when he was in the service, we moved. But we ended up back here, and this is where we're supposed to be.
My favorite city in the world, and I've been to a lot of them, and I think maybe it must be Martin, or I wouldn't still be living here after 41 years. The most important lesson we learned during our life together.
We discussed that, remember?
Yeah. I don't think there's any single thing that we can say is this lesson is paramount in our lives. I think it's a culmination of many different lessons that has given us an idea of how we should live our lives. And I guess when you think about it, in the Gospels, God gives us an example of how we should live our lives, and that example is Jesus Christ. And so when you look at how Christ lived his life, and consider all the people that we have learned from over the years, my parents and her parents and the other people that we have been around, I guess the thing that is paramount is that God loves us, and that we should love the people that we encounter in that same way. God is a forgiving God, and so we should forgive the people that do something that offends us. God is merciful, so we should treat the people that we encounter in our lives with mercy and with compassion. In Matthew's Gospel, Jesus, let me just finish this one. She says I preach too much, but I've been a permanent deacon for 27 years, and maybe I do preach too much. But in Matthew's Gospel, when Jesus is getting ready to go to be with God, he tells us that I call you friends now. I don't no longer call you slaves or whatever, but because I've told you everything that that the Father has told me. And he says, so you will be my friends if you follow my command. And this is my commandment to you, to love one another as I have loved you. And I think learning from our parents and from Father Collins and from other folks that we encounter in our lives, and seeing how sometimes humans treat other humans so poorly, and then also seeing how humans can treat other humans and all of God's creation with love and mercy and compassion, then that is how we should live our lives. And we have tried to do that. There came a turning point in our lives back in the 80s that we became more and more aware of God's compassion and mercy, and I think I know it changed me an awful lot, to the point where I'm better able to understand where people are and love them just as they are.
I think I'm done learning. The thing I really wanted to learn was how to quilt or how to make quilts, and I've always sewed because Grandma taught me to sew, and I used to like to bake. I don't really anymore, so I don't do that. I used to do a lot of reading, but now I do sewing. And then I love working outside when the weather's decent. Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it's so much that I want to learn, but I want to see God. I wake up oftentimes in the morning and I'm just as tired as I was when I went to bed. I have rheumatoid arthritis and lots of other physical ailments. And whenever it's God's will to bring me home, I'm ready to go. And that's when I will get to see him face to face. So if it's something to learn, it's to learn what it feels like to be in the presence of the purest love that is conceivable to human.
I think so, yes. Like he was saying, back in the 1980s, we went to a Cursillo. It was open to men or women, not together. And I wanted to go because I had found out some information about it. He didn't want to go, but it was required that the man had to go first. And so there was a gentleman that came down from Rapid City to talk to our parish one time, and he knew Cal, and he talked Cal into going. So anyway, so he went, and then I went, and it was very eye-opening, very moving.
Life-changing.
And life-changing, yes. So anyway. My mom's salad at Christmas, and so far Jenny and her daughter Jessie make it all the time. This is called the holiday fruit salad. It takes 2 eggs beaten, 4 tablespoons of vinegar, 4 tablespoons of sugar. You cook that until it's thick in a double boiler. Then you add 2 tablespoons of butter and cool it. Now you whip 1 cup of whole cream, and you mix the the egg, vinegar, sugar, butter combination with the whipped cream after it's been whipped. And you add that to 2 cups of white grapes, which we usually just green grapes. I've never been able to find white grapes. 2 cups of pineapple, 2 cups of mandarin oranges, and 2 cups of miniature marshmallows. And you just mix that all together and keep it in the refrigerator until ready to eat. So it is good. Holiday fruit salad. We fix it at Thanksgiving and at Christmas.
Years ago, when there was a fellow named Jack Sorum that I worked with here in Martin, and we used to tease each other all the time, and he was from North Dakota and I was from South Dakota, so he'd say something about South Dakota folks and I'd say something about North Dakota folks. Well, one of the jokes I used to get to him was a joke about this North Dakota fellow that went ice fishing, and he pulled up and he got out of the car and he got all of his gear out and a pick and his fishing gear, and he walked out onto the ice and he put everything down and got it all ready, and he took his pick and he reared back and was going to swing his pick down to chop a hole in the ice, and this voice said, "There are no fish under that ice." And he stopped and he kind of looked around like that, and he says, couldn't figure out what was going on, but he reared back with his pick again, and his voice says, "I told you there are no fish under that ice." And so he stopped and he looked up and he said, "Is that you, God?" And the voice said, "No, I'm the rink manager, and there are no fish under that ice." That's the North Dakota fisherman. Could be any of us, myself included, though.